We're all different for many reasons, whether that be genetics, or gender, or our personal interests. But when you take a closer look into certain people, you might find something outstanding. Something that can't be seen physically and takes more deep analyzing to truly understand. Somewhere, in a crowd of people, you might not know it, but you may have taken a glance at a special type of person who has an amazing trait about them. And that trait is autism. This is one of the most complicated and most misunderstood disorders that exists in our world today, and the majority of people who hear about it don't seem to acknowledge what good can come from this. To celebrate Autism Awareness Month, I would like to talk about what autism is and explain why this disorder is important for us to understand a little more. Autism, or Autism Spectrum Disorder, is a serious developmental disorder that results in a lack of communicational skills and impacts the nervous system. It's a lifelong developmental disability that is present in early childhood development and impacts a person's social and interactive skills throughout their entire life. Some of the symptoms related to this include difficulty with communication and social interactions, obsessive interests, and repetitive behaviors. This disorder isn't seen visually, and it doesn't set them apart from other people, which can make it difficult to identify at first glance. However, people with autism may communicate, interact, behave, and learn in ways that are different from most people. Some of the signs and symptoms of someone with autism include having trouble relating to others or not having an interest in other people at all, being very interested in people but not know how to talk, play, or relate to them, avoiding eye contact with others, wishing to be alone, struggling to understand other people's feelings or talking about their own feelings, not wanting to be touched, held, or cuddled, or might want to do so only when they want to, appear unaware that someone is talking to them but respond to other sounds, repeat or echo words or phrases said to them or in place of normal language, repeating actions over and over again, having trouble expressing their needs using typical words or motions, having unusual reactions to how things smell, taste, look, feel, or sound, lose skills they once had, like stop saying words they were using, and being very sensitive to loud noises. These are some of many signs and symptoms that have been found in people with autism. Signs and symptoms vary, however, as some are more likely to appear the more severe the disorder is, and others not as likely. Autism is known as a spectrum disorder because there is a wide variation in the type and severity of symptoms people experience. People with autism may experience different types of symptoms that focus more around one or multiple types of categories such as behavioral, developmental, cognitive, and psychological problems. Now, before I continue explaining this, I need to make some disclaimers. While doing research on identifying the different types of autism, the most recent article I could find was updated on February 25th, 2022, and says that the autism spectrum is now classified into 3 levels. However, it does say that this is useful mostly for diagnosing autism severity and support needs by doctors, and doesn't give a full picture of the strengths and limitations of each level. From a different article made in December of 2020, they say that all the types of autism are now classified under the name Autism Spectrum Disorder. So for this video, I will be giving reference to the classification names of the different types of autism used more commonly back then, before these classification changes were applied, since a lot of people still refer to them as they were the oldest way to classify each one. I will also be excluding Rett syndrome as a part of the spectrum, as I believe this syndrome doesn't have enough similarities as all the other ones that are considered a form of autism. Let's start with Asperger's syndrome. This syndrome is the least severe autism on the spectrum. A person with Asperger's may be very intelligent and be able to handle their daily life. They are likely to have good grammar skills and an advanced vocabulary, but also tend to be very literal. They can also have clumsy, uncoordinated movements and difficulty with handwriting as well. Autistic disorder. This is the most severe type of autism. Due to the severity, it can cause the inability to use their spoken language and become nonverbal, have extreme sensitivity to loud noises and bright lights, have a lower IQ, strong repetitive behaviors, and physical symptoms like sleeplessness and epilepsy. These people require daily support and supervision from adults due to not being able to care for themselves as easily. Pervasive developmental disorder. This disorder is classified as people who have autism more severe than Asperger's, but less severe than autistic disorder. The symptoms are related to common symptoms of most autistic people, but intermediately severe. Finally, there's childhood disintegrative disorder. This was the rarest and most severe part of the spectrum. It described children who developed normally and then quickly lost many social, language, and mental skills, usually between the ages 2 to 4. Often do these children also develop a seizure disorder. Depending on how severe these symptoms are, they can impact an autistic person's life heavily or minimally. Now it's time to talk about how this may affect them in a discussion. Autistic people are commonly seen having difficulties with social interaction and interpreting other people's behavior, as well as troubles knowing what to say or how to behave around others. Autistic people may speak in a monotone voice and may not recognize the need to control the volume of their voice, so they may speak loudly in quiet places like libraries or movie theaters without knowing. People on the autism spectrum will have varying skills and desires when it comes to social interaction. Some have limited motivation in interacting with others around them. Others have a desire to interact with a range of people to a large extent. Some people on the spectrum find challenges with social interaction, leading to anxiety and isolating feelings. Because of the lack of communicative skills for some autistic people, this can bring a lot of problems throughout the person's life. Autism, like a lot of disorders and disabilities, will have disadvantages. Some of the common challenges in people with autism include anxiety. Research has shown that people with autism experience elevated levels of anxiety much more than other people. And due to some having communication difficulties, an autistic person with severe anxiety issues and having a decreased ability to express it can also make it difficult to diagnose depressive or anxiety states, which makes it frustrating to help them in a stressful environment. Anxiety can come from things like phobias, OCD, meltdowns and shutdowns, becoming mentally confused, upset, or exhausted as a result of a highly stressful, disturbing, and often unexpected event or experience, and more. Dealing with change. People on the autism spectrum find change to be very stressful. Due to how they process information and their behaviors and responses, many of them prefer familiar environments with predictable routines. Things an autistic person may not be comfortable with changing include leaving the house, having visitors over, going somewhere new, changing a routine, eating new foods, and more. Bullying. Some studies have reported that people on the autism spectrum are more likely to experience bullying than any other type of disability. Some reasons include having noticeably unique mannerisms, minimal friends or companions for support in a bad situation, being sensitive to harsh insults or harassment, repeating mistakes without knowing, not acknowledging the bullying occurring, and being too literal about statements. Despite autism having lots of negatives and a person trying to adapt to new challenges and overcome problems, there are still things that can come with great benefits from a person with autism. Autistic people may display a range of strengths and abilities that can be directly related to their diagnosis, including learning to read at a very early age, attention to detail such as thoroughness and accuracy, a deep focus with lots of concentration and freedom from distraction, observational skills with a listen, look, learn approach, and fact-finding, absorbing and retaining facts due to excellent long-term memory and superior recall, visual skills and being detail-focused, expertise on in-depth knowledge and a high level of skills, methodical approaches by being analytical and spotting patterns and repetition, novel approaches with unique thought processes and innovative solutions, creativity showing distinctive imagination and the expression of ideas, tenacity and resilience featuring determination and the urge to challenge opinions, accepting of difference and being less likely to judge others and may question norms, integrity displaying honesty, loyalty, and commitment. All these things can be found in an autistic person. Not all of them are born with these great traits, but some of them are capable of showing great personality and skills even if it isn't normal. And these features are even seen in our world from some of the biggest faces that we hear about. Some of the most well-known people throughout history have been found to have been on the autism spectrum. Some of the biggest, most successful, and accomplished people in our world have made it to where they are due to their autism. From actors like Dan Aykroyd and Anthony Hopkins to historical icons like Albert Einstein and the famous artist Michelangelo, and it still shows a more commonly recognizable faces nowadays. Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft, was believed to have autism for a long time due to his repetitive movement of rocking back and forth, speaking in a monotone voice, and not making eye contact, and he has made one of the largest technology corporations in the world. Or take a more recent example, Elon Musk, who admitted to having Asperger's while hosting the Saturday Night Live show. He's known for creating the first functioning marketplace for electric cars and founding the highly efficient SpaceX company. You also have people like Wentworth Miller, Tim Burton, Steve Jobs, Greta Thunberg, and Dan Harmon as other examples. There have been rumors of autism seen in historical figures too. It's been supposedly seen in Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, Emily Dickinson, Thomas Jefferson, and Hans Christian Andersen, as people have stated, with their characteristics and personalities fitting a lot of the traits that could define them as autistic. Autism has been a key factor for these people's success and was able to bring them to heights that are not easily reached by the average person. This is the type of potential that can be seen in the spectrum, and with these achievements brings high value to these individuals for reshaping our world for the better. There's a lot to understand about when it comes to autism, and yet so much of it has been twisted and turned into misinformation that can change the perspective of what autism truly is. Here's some things that have been believed to be true but are complete lies. Autism is a disease. Many claims have been made about the idea that autism is a disease. It's not. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects a person's ability to communicate and interact with others. The difference between a disease and a disorder is that a disease is a cause of a disorder and not the disorder itself. Autism is not a disease itself, but can occur due to one. Autism can be cured through medicine or special diets. Autism is a lifelong disorder that stays with a person until they die. This means any medication or special eating habits believed to cure it and completely remove it from the body are not effective at all. The only types of medications and diets there are for it are therapies and prescriptions to at least manage and reduce the severity of it, and doctor-suggested diets based on the health of the person that doesn't relate to their disorder. Autistic people are stupid/incredibly intelligent. Like I mentioned before, autism can differ majorly across different people. Some have it more severe, some have it less severe. They aren't all the same. Also, stupidity doesn't contribute to autism. An intellectual disability is more focused around accidental, ignorant behavior than choices known to cause problems that are done anyway by people. Autistic people don't want to make friends. Autism affects social interactions in people with autism. They may seem rude or unfriendly, but it's only due to the fact they struggle to some extent with social skills and are unable to express their feelings appropriately. Vaccinations cause autism. This is a common myth. There has been countless research that says that vaccinations are a cause of autism, but these statements have been proven false from deep investigations on this idea and proved that to be false. Autism is an epidemic. With higher diagnosis of children having autism, people have believed this to be a sign of an epidemic. However, the real reason is because more doctors and pediatricians have been able to identify those with autism as of recently due to more resources and education to help them diagnose it. Autistic people can't feel emotions. Just because a person with autism can't express their emotions properly doesn't mean they can't feel them. They have their own way of expressing and understanding them. Autism is a very unique and incredible disorder that has a lot of potential when given the chance. It's such a wonderful thing to hold on to for your whole life because of how special it makes you and helps to find a more specific path towards excellence. The autistic community holds some of the greatest people to live on the earth, and for that, we should be thankful for such a wonderful disorder. And for me, I'm using this video as a message to show how important this disorder is to me and should be to anybody, whether they are on the spectrum or not. So I hold this puzzle piece, a symbol for those who seek to build their life together over time until it's complete, and hold it dearest to my heart, because I will forever love the autism community and anything positive it brings us in the future. Thank you for watching, and happy Autism Awareness Month.